Dr. Ayodele Ogunsan, who is a board member of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund, to come talk on this emplacement. I would also like to invite the Inspector General of the Gambian Police Service to have his seat, because after which we're going to round up on the issue of emplacement of people-oriented policing. So you can come on the high table, and then after you go ahead.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm, good afternoon to us all. I'll be presenting my paper immediately so we can move ahead. I'll also be backing the speaker who just concluded his presentation now on the topic, emplacement of people-oriented policing for security and development in Africa. Distinguished participants, fellow discussants, policymakers, professionals, and stakeholders in Africa's security architecture seated in this room today, it is both an honor and a privilege to address this esteemed gathering on the theme of developing model for people-centric governance towards enhancement of peace and security. My focus today will center on the emplacement of people-oriented policing and its critical role in achieving sustainable security and development in Africa. And drawing from my experience as the board member of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund, the chairman of the police campaign against cultism and other vices in Lagos State, and as well as the personal security advisor to the governor of Lagos State, my broader role in the Nigerian security operations has put me in a very vantage position to provide practical insights and lessons for us all to learn, which I believe that we'll go back and implement it as urgent as possible. Together, we will be exploring the concept and importance of people-oriented policing. We'll also look at the Lagos State case study of highlighting its security management strategies and the impacts we have made over the years. And I'll also be discussing broader people-oriented policing strategies for Africa's unique security challenges. And fourthly, I will provide actionable recommendations for creating a security framework that prioritizes development and people's well-being. And I will conclude, and I will as well call us to action. In addendum, this paper is designed to give practical examples, theoretical insights, and actionable recommendations. The content also incorporates global best practices, and it highlights into and give insight into people-centric policing for security and development. Through these discussions, we aim to create a template for pragmatic and effective solutions to the continent's security need. Let me start by conceptualizing the people-oriented policing in Africa. People-oriented policing, or what I call community policing, represents a transformative shift in how law enforcement engages with citizens. Unlike the traditional enforcement-focused policing, this approach prioritizes collaboration and mutual trust. The community becomes an active participant in shaping our security strategies and addressing not just the symptoms, but the root causes of crime and insecurity in our countries. The core principles of people-oriented policing includes, number one, partnership. That's building trust-based relationship between law enforcement agencies and the community. Number two, it's problem solving. That's addressing systemic and localized security challenges through collaborative efforts. And the third one is empowerment, equipping citizens with tools, platforms, and knowledge to safeguard our environments. What are the challenges of policing in Africa? African unique security landscape presents significant challenges, which includes terrorism, insurgencies, In our own country, where I came from, the groups like Boko Haram in Nigeria, for those of us from the east part of Africa, Al-Shabaab, and other groups like that perpetuate violence and they destabilize our regions. We also have urban violence and gang activity, that's cultism, youth gangs, and street violence. All this undermine our societal cohesion. Then we also have organized crimes and piracy. Africa remains a hub for human trafficking, drug smuggling, piracy, particularly in the Gulf of Guinea. And there are also institutional weaknesses too in the area of corruption, lack of training, and resources limitations hampering the effectiveness of our law enforcement agencies. Despite these challenges, ladies and gentlemen, the continent has significant opportunities to leverage community-driven approaches to address these security issues sustainably. But I love to share with you my own insights on Lagos, a people-oriented initiative that is presently in action that I call the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. It's not new to the stakeholders here, the security stakeholders from Nigeria. The Lagos State Security Trust Fund stands as a beacon of innovation in security management. This great initiative was born in 2007 under the administration of Governor Babajide Fashola. LSSTF, as we call it, the Lagos State Security Trust Fund, serving as a cornerstone, and it has remained a successful story for those of us who are from that clime. The initiative of the LSSTF highlights the power of public-private partnerships in addressing our security challenges. How does LSSTF work? How does the Lagos State Security Trust Fund operate? All we do is to mobilize resources from businesses operating in Lagos, private individuals residing in Lagos, and government stakeholders to fund law enforcement operations. We are very clear from the beginning that the government of the country is solely responsible for funding policing. That's the federal government. But over the years, we felt, look, they can't do it alone. They have limitations. Our resources are very limited, and it's chasing several challenges in the country. Education is crying, health is crying, water resources is everywhere. The load on the government is quite, enormous. So we decided, or the government of that day decided that, look, let's lessen the burden of government. Let's involve the people. Let's sell this idea to the people to come on board and support this initiative of getting involved in policing activities. And today I can boldly tell you, the people of Lagos State fund police operations absolutely in the state. I use the word absolutely, but we are on the field. You hear a lot of reports out there. People will tell you it's being funded by government and all that. No, for Lagos, it's a different study. It's a different case study. It's 100% funded by the people. The people raise the fund. They give us at the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. We are the custodians of those resources, and we are very accountable to the world and to our people. We tell them at the end of the year, and to be specific, December 18th of this month, we will gather together at an agreed place where these individuals, the Lagosians, will come, who have spent their money over the years, will assemble together, and will render our account of stewardship of how we have been able to dispense all these funds they have put under our care. Whenever they sit down, we are being audited by very reputable auditing firms, Ernst & Young, KPMG, and several others. We present it to them. We manage those resources well. And over the years, the confidence keep boosting and improving, and they said, look, we can commit more. And that's what I've been. They are right in the nucleus of police operations in Lagos. What the police just do is to, enforce, the laws and all that. But in terms of information gathering, the people surrender, they give those information. Funding is the people. Everything is about the people. So when you enter Lagos, you have to be careful. The next person beside you is a policeman. We have put that there consciously in their mind that all of us must be responsible for the safety of lives and property in our land. So our key achievement over the years have been in capacity building. Thousands of operational vehicles and equipment have been supplied to police units, improving the response time also. On the 18th of December, the governor of Lagos State, the Inspector General of Police of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, they've been invited to come over to give out 256 vehicles and modern security gadgets to all our security agencies in Lagos. I put all, principally the police, but because we know that the police alone cannot do it, then we also reach out to the Navy, and I'm very happy and delighted to have the #1 Nigerian Navy officer and leader present here today to share in our story. The Chief of Naval Staff, the Army, and the Air Force. We reach out to them. We call them OP Mesa in Lagos. They also assist us in taking care of our people, providing security. On that day, they will be giving some vehicles. The DSS will have it. The local security agencies like our Neighborhood Watch, the immigration services, as long as you are a security agency operating in Lagos or a paramilitary agency, as long as you render a security work for us in Lagos, you are entitled to get some of these gadgets. So we can all work together and provide security for our people. Capacity building is very key, what we have been doing. Community engagement, we are arranging town hall meetings, open consultations. We allow citizens to identify pressing security needs and influence the resource allocation. Accountability is very key. Like I told you, transparent reporting builds public trust, and that encourages sustained participation and funding from these people. The people remains the nucleus of our operations, the benefactors we have, and we hold them that duty to keep them secured. Our baby at the Lagos State Security Trust Fund is the Rapid Response Squad, a special arm of the police raised to tackle crime and nip it at the bud. That is the Rapid Response Squad. When you get into Lagos, you have our state police, not official. We call it state police discreetly, very privately, because there's no state police in Nigeria. We're almost getting there. But for us in Lagos, we know that apart from the Nigerian police force itself, an arm has been created from them to arrest any kind of ugly incidents we have, coming from any criminal mind. The Rapid Response Squad. Lessons learned: public-private relationships are crucial for resource mobilization. Transparent and inclusive governance strengthen trust between citizens and law enforcement agents. I also love to talk about the police campaign against cultism and other vices. We call it POCACOV. I chair that also in Lagos. As Lagos State Chairman of POCACOV, I have been privileged to lead initiatives targeting cultism, youth violence, and drug abuse issues that disproportionately affect young people in Lagos. The approaches I've taken over the years, we go on preventive advocacy. We do rehabilitation programs, and then we also have stakeholders collaborations. For the preventive advocacy, we campaign in schools, we catch them young, and as well as we prevent them from crime very young. We go to marketplaces, we have community awareness, and with all we do, our message has always been to tell them the dangers and the consequences of cultism and these social vices. And then what we have also done is try to enforce and promote exemplary living. In the past, we've had leaders of these platforms who fight against cultism, against drug abuse and these social vices, but they themselves achieve and they are They are the brain behind some of these evil vices. So what we have done is to carefully look out for exemplary leaders in the communities who does not have any affiliations with some of these things, so that our youth can have very strong confidence in dropping all these vices and then do the right thing. And so that's what we do at the present. On the rehabilitation at-risk youths, we offer them mentorship, we give them vocational training, and as well as reintegration support. We do that for them. And also, on the stakeholders collaboration, by partnering with parents, we've gone a very long way. We also engage religious leaders in our land and then local officials. All we do is to address societal factors that are driving youth involvement in crime. And we've really significantly reduced all these occurrences in our land. And it's also increased youth participation in mentorship and skill building programs, reducing the allure of these criminal activities. I want to run very fast. Broader security innovations in Lagos. Beyond the Lagos State Security Trust Fund and POCACOV, Lagos State has implemented numerous other initiatives that align with people-oriented policing principles. An example is traffic and urban safety. Collaborations between the Lagos State Traffic Management Agency, which is LASMA, the police, the law enforcement agencies have been able to reduce traffic crimes. Towards last year, we got a lot of very negative reports about traffic crimes. You know, people picking calls in traffic, taking phones from people in traffic, breaking their windscreen to rob and all that. Lagos State has been able to evolve very new, very proactive strategies lately to address all this. We have mobile officers on their bikes regularly now who move all around. The rapid response squads also have been able to regionalize the city into some very important spots where they can respond quickly. If there are issues in those areas, they don't need to come from their main head office, but in each of the regions, in each of the areas, not even local government area, down the local government areas in the suburb, we have rapid response unit where you have any issue, they are there to address it. And all these evils have reduced very drastically. We also have digital innovations, platforms like the Citizen Gate app. It enables Lagos residents to report crime in real time. Community policing, we have local vigilante group work alongside with our formal security agencies to enhance safety in our neighborhood. Lessons for Africa. Community-driven approaches can bridge the gap between our citizens and the law enforcement. Technology as well plays an essential role in modernizing policing efforts. I will go to the third one by talking about the global best practices in people-oriented policing. A clue from the United States, community policing services called COPS in the United States. The U.S. Community-Oriented Policing Services Initiative provides valuable lessons in institutionalizing people-centered approaches. What are the key features of COPS? They train officers in cultural competence and de-escalation techniques. They as well establish citizen review boards to promote transparency. What's the takeaway for Africa? Let's learn to build trust. And building trust requires both structural reforms and changes in our police culture. It's very important. Japan has a model called the Koban model. The Koban model system positions police officers in small, community-based posts, ensuring accessibility and familiarity with local issues. What are the relevance to Africa? A decentralized police structure will improve responsiveness. And as well, embedding police officers in communities, it fosters trust and early conflict resolution. Rwanda, too, has community recovery after the genocide. The Rwanda post-genocide recovery demonstrates the power of community-driven security initiative. Programs like Umuganda Community Service promotes collective responsibility for social challenges. Lessons for Africa from the Cuban model, engaging citizens in proactive collective actions. This will foster resilience. Community service can build social cohesion and trust in our institutions. I'm rounding up now with the strategic recommendations for Africa. Number one, let's build trust through accountability. I remember vividly one of our meetings in Lagos during the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. Our accountability model inspired a very great philanthropist in our land, a great one. And he said, wow, you've done this over the years, and you've always been accountable for what you get from us. For this singular reason, I am going to give you ₦1 billion to run for the next year. It's not a joke. It's not a promise that is not kept. It's a promise kept. Within 48 hours, we have the payment. They give us ₦1 billion. And out of these resources is what we've put together, and we'll be able to get more gadgets, more resources needed for the police to function. Immediately after that, we have voluntary donations from banks. You have this template is just the best. I don't want to say it very cheap here. I think that will go into consulting. If you need such services, then you need to meet me and you will pay for consultancy. Thank you very much for that. Build trust through accountability. It establishes independent oversight bodies. Like I told you, we have an oversight body who investigates what we do, the resources we get from people, and then any kind of misconduct will be punished. But thanks be to God, since inception till date, all the leaders that have provided, guidance and direction for us at this fund have been very meticulous, very prudent with these resources, because they know that the citizens are involved. And so they will always ask questions on how their funds are spent. Then we introduce citizen feedback system for assessing police performance. We leverage also on technology. We expand our digital platforms for crime reporting and community police communication. And we invest in surveillance infrastructure as well, including CCTV and drones, all thanks to the governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Just today, while I was there, I was trying to get some reports and feedback from Lagos on some of the modern, inventions and additions we've been able to provide for ensuring security. And someone was alerting the member of the public that be careful of what you do in Lagos, because there are CCTV everywhere. We go back home now, drive on the Tall Milan Bridge, you know what I'm talking about, and some very notable roads now, you see cameras all over trying to get to see what people do. These resources are provided, by the government and the governor of Lagos State to ensure that they back us up and back the police and other security agency up to be able to deliver a first-hand service to our people. Then we foster inclusive security policies. We prioritize the inclusion of marginalized groups such as women and youth in security planning, even in information gathering. We promote public-private partnerships similar to what we do at the Lagos State Securities Trust Fund. And then we strengthen our legal and institutional framework. We mandate community policing as a core function of law enforcement agencies. And as well, we ensure adequate funding and training for officers to adapt to people-centered approaches. I will also let you know, and it will interest you to know, that if you serve in Lagos as a police officer, apart from the federal remuneration given to you on a monthly basis, we provide an additional stipend to encourage our police officer. So if you're on salary A from the government and you are posted to Lagos and you are captured under a rapid response system, there is another special pay for you. The regular uniform provided by the Nigerian Police Force at the headquarters, they provide that, we give you more. If you have one or two provided with your boots and all the other items from the federal government, the Lagos State Security Trust Fund, under the able leadership of the governor of Lagos State, will provide you double of that. So you see our officers neater, cleaner, and then all the other gadgets you need to function. That's what we provide. We provide it for them. Vehicles that you hardly see with policemen in our client, you see it with the Nigerian, with the Rapid Response Squad. They drive very good vehicle, all fully loaded with modern gadgets that can communicate with their fellow guys who will respond if they are unusual or very terrible situations. So this is what we do in Lagos. We train and retrain them. We train and retrain them and make them the better officers they need to be. And finally, let me inform you that if any police officer dies on duty in Lagos State, apart from what is provided by the federal government, we will take care of them, give them a package, and take care of their family. This template has been very, very fantastic. It has worked for us, and that is why close to 2 decades now, we've not heard of one single bank robbery in Lagos. It's a thing of the past. Hardly do you hear reports that are disheartening from Lagos. This template, this initiative have worked and will continue to work. Ladies and gentlemen, as I round up, the future of security in Africa lies in our collective responsibility to embrace people-oriented policing as a cornerstone of governance. The example from Lagos State, coupled with global best practices, demonstrate that sustainable security is achievable when citizens, I repeat, when citizens are empowered as partners in progress. They must be involved. We've involved them, we are still involving them, and they remain the greatest partner we have in our future security engagement. As we deliberate during this conference, I urge you all to commit to prioritizing people, make citizens' welfare the central focus of all our security policies. Please collaborate across sectors, build partnerships among governments, private entities, and civil society. And finally, take decisive action. Move beyond discussions to implementing effective and people-centered strategies. Together, we can transform Africa's security landscape and pave the way for a safer and a more prosperous future. Thank you very much, and I wish you the best in our engagement here during this conference. Thank you very much.
I won't say he tried to attack the model of Lagos State, but he is trying to say he hopes that the support coming from the government of Lagos State does not provide a platform for political influence over what the police is doing. Am I right? I think it's no. It's a no. I'm from Nigeria and I know what happens out there. So it's a no. And of course, I want to acknowledge your efforts, Dr. Ogunsan, that you've been very dynamic to the extent that today I've heard from you that the CCTV cameras deployed on the Third Mainland Bridge, I believe, are now secure because efforts have been done over the years, but the cosmopolitan nature of Lagos State makes it difficult to have that infrastructure, in place.
However, I'm trying to look at it from a different perspective, because if the presentation is made a case study of Lagos, then there is a need for us to understand the extreme end. Lagos is the richest state in Nigeria. So Lagos has a very strong economy and has high level of education. So if we try to understand the security situation and the robust approach of the government, there is a need to look at the extreme as well. Take Zamfara State, for example. It's educationally backward, it's economically backward. So the approach in Zamfara may be quite different with the approach in Lagos State.
No doubt, I've been living in Lagos for over 40 years. Almost 50 years I've been living in Lagos. A lot of things have changed and they are doing well. However, You know, in Lagos, about 80% of Lagos is developed cities. Maybe if you want to have rural areas, maybe like 10, 15, 20%. But I want to find out from Doctor, what are the efforts Lagos State government is doing to integrate private security guards in the community policing we are talking about?
Do we have that issue in Gambia? Do we have that issue in South Africa? As the case in Nigeria, where the military is a little bit overwhelmed with internal issues and internal securities within the nation. Because sometimes we have a conflict between the regular policing, internal policing, and military coming to perform internal policing within some certain countries, like the case of Nigeria. So that's why I'm posing to Gambia, to South Africa, and other places.
Thank you very much, sir. During the presentation, I'm unable to extensively, address what we do at the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. So I just run over it on a skeletal, perspective. But I think to address your question, sir, some things will interest you from my submission now, that the operations, the management, and the funding of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund is completely independent of the government. The government do not have a say in the way we manage the fund. The government created it, but they left the administration, the management, the funding, and every other thing into the hands of some selected private individuals, well-meaning Lagosians. 70% of the membership of the board of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund are from the financial institutions. Managing director of banks in the country, we have about 6 of them on the board, and they are not paid, they are not remunerated. All of us on the board, we render our services pro bono. We source for these funds from the people. The government creates the enabling environment. They promote us, they talk to the public about us, but they don't influence what we do. So when we source for the funds, we disburse without any government bureaucratic control. The governor cannot call us and say, hello, executive secretary. Now, in the structure, the day-to-day running of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund is done by an executive secretary, an individual also recruited from the public, not from the government. So they put him there, and then the only thing the government does is to recommend the board members. After they have been sourced, he will just look at their track records and see, yes, they can add value. He appoints them every 4 years, and is renewable another 4 years. So maximum 8 years, the board members will be there to serve the people. But how we get our money, the governor is not involved. How we disburse our money, the governor is not involved. There is no commissioner in the state regulating the fund. There is nobody within the government structure that influence what we do. The board members will sit once every 2 or 3 months. Sometimes you can be summoned to sit monthly. If there are emergencies, then all we do is to look at the needs generated by the executive secretary. We need to refurbish these vehicles for these agencies. We need to get this done. You present it to the board. The board members will approve. As soon as we'll approve, funds are disbursed. Those things are bought, and the necessary agencies are given it to the governor. The state is not involved in our operation. That is why we have been able to record this story, this success story we've recorded over the years. And so we have all the powers to tell the governor to his face, sir, we can't do this. And I think That is the only agency in the state that can do that to a sitting governor. If the governor say, hello, can you give these people social number? Sir, with all due respect, sir, we do not have the capacity to do this. This is not government money. This is the money given to us by the public to manage. We are just custodians. So we have to go back to the people and tell them that, look, this is how your money has been dispensed. But we also have to be gracious and appreciate all the sitting governors of Lagos State, especially the current one, Governor Sanwo-Olu. There are times our funds cannot get all the things we need. Privately, sometimes he can intervene. And his intervention is by using his powers as the governor to call and say, hello, Professor, how are you? He knows you have all it takes to give us more money. He can ask us, how much have you been able to realize from A? We tell him 500 million. Hello, Prof, can you do something for me? Can you help the Lagos State Security Trust Fund with an additional 500 million? Please, please. So last year, annual conference, I changed his designation as the governor of Lagos State to our chief marketing officer. He does that for us on several grounds. And you know what it means when the governor picks his phone to call any citizen? Even if you don't want to do it, you will do it, at least for the sake of the governor. These are some of the little interventions we get from them. But sir, no interference from the government. We do everything we do on our own, regulated by the board. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I must admit that your enthusiasm is contagious. It's really good to see that. You have another question, please? That thing is on?
Yes, it's on.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor, and thank you very much, Doctor. My own will...
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, the Chief of Naval Staff. Thank you very much for your comment. And let me also assure our brother from the Nigerian Customs Service. I hope it's the Customs Service? NCS, all right. I've just had a chat with my people in Lagos to find out whether we've been doing anything for the Nigerian Customs Service, and the response I got is that we've not been doing it, but I think we'll try and capture you in our subsequent interventions. But really, you know, you're a very rich organization, you know. So you're a very, very rich organization, a revenue generating organization for that matter. So I would rather, that will be on another level. For your units in Lagos, you can look at that, but we would love to even come to you to seek for help. And there are some things on the table, actually. Instead of us procuring vehicles at very expensive and exorbitant rate from motor dealers, you most times have vehicles that you possibly impounded vehicles, seized vehicles that people do not come back and claim, and at some point they are auctioned to the members of the public. Some of these vehicles, you can call on us as the Lagos State Security Trust Fund to procure them instead of selling it to people who do not need them. Rather, you give it to us. So it's going to be a collaborative engagement. So we will support you, but you have to support us more. So, bros, we will discuss our own when we conclude the conference. Also, to just lend a word to one of the people that earlier made a comment on our leaders seeking for control of the police. Yes, almost everybody is advocating for that in Nigeria, but for the template we run in Lagos, we have moved away from wanting to have control to rather add value by collaborating with the members of the public, adding value to the force, to the police force, and all other agencies that are operating in Lagos. And let me tell you this, it has worked since 2007 till date. When you make an agency comfortable and happy to operate within your environment, directly or indirectly, you are going to have control. A happy police officer who gets an additional stipend from the state, who after being given uniforms and other equipment still get extra from the state, a police officer who is not well trained, I use the word because most times, and a very strong apology for our leaders here who are seated, we're not saying you are not training them, but most times, if you check our records, the last time some of these police officers were trained, maybe when they were at the recruitment point in their various universities, like Polak in the Nigerian Police Force, and then every other agency. I know the Nigerian Navy, Nigerian Air Force, and Nigerian Police, they're excellent when it comes to, training programs and all that. For the police, I think there's still room for improvement. Some of them, the last time they attended conferences and all that, will be maybe in the early days of their service. But when you as a state provide all this for the people, even when the Inspector General of Police gives that state command a directive, I'm saying this off record, because a governor in the state that he operates as the head of the command has been very kind to his unit. There is a way they manage it. There is a way they do it. When this IG say, I want this done, the CP will, can I do this to this man seated here? This man has been kind. Before he can talk to the IG to possibly see it in another light, and such directives can be reviewed. What I'm saying is that if you help, if you support an individual or an agency operating within your domain, you are indirectly having control. There is nothing we want from the police in Lagos that we do not get because of the role we play. If we withdraw that service, even the central unit will feel that, yeah, a very important unit have withdrawn. So it's more about the will and not seeking for absolute control. But thank God we came here on the template of community policing, not much on the state police, because we're operating a very complex and very difficult society. I'm sure we'll still get there because already the matter is right now on the table. For a dear brother who have spent over 4 decades in Lagos, thank you very much for those remarks. I know that rural areas in Lagos are not much pronounced. Like you said, the urbanization have really taken over everything. But sir, we have an agency in Lagos called the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Agency that is responsible for reaching out to those areas that you've talked about. And they are doing very well, very well. When we started, they're just organized set of people who are trying to render their services pro bono to keep their community safe. But now, we've actually made it an agency where they are fully paid, and the same treatment we give to the Rapid Response Squad of the Nigerian Police Force is the same treatment we give to this unit, the LSNC. They are very strong and formidable in Lagos. The vehicle distribution we're going to do by the 18th of December, this unit will get close to about 40 to 50 units of these vehicles to operate. And they have motorbikes also to be able to get into those interiors. And they have a very strong link with the police so that if there are issues they cannot handle, immediately the police will address it. So, but sir, what you've talked about, I'm going to put them down and then share and discuss with my team. And then ultimately we'll discuss with the governor and we'll see how we can address this effectively. We should be candid. If not that you brought it up, we are beginning to lose sight of that reality that there are still some areas, some suburbs in Lagos. We're looking at Lagos now as an urban center where everywhere is well, but I think this is just a wake-up call for us to look at those areas that you've discussed, and then we'll see how to add more value to them. I think
right, thank you very much for those really good